Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. If you've never been on one of my webinars before, or if you've not been on one of my webinars today, my name is Chris, and I'm one of the Shortcuts educators here. Okay, so if you're not familiar with how my webinars work, we run webinars every Wednesday. Today we're running slightly more. And for the time being, we're going to be gearing all of the webinars towards COVID-19 to sort of help you all out a little bit further. So we're going to have lots more webinars coming up to help you out. I appreciate you've all found yourself with the annoyance of a little bit more free time than you had originally anticipated. So we're going to do everything as we can to sort of help move things forward with education, things like that, and give you some of the best tips and tricks that we can. Okay, so with that being said, what we're going to be going through today is your cloud appointment book. Your cloud appointment book is a fully functioning appointment book you can have on any internet device. Okay, it's completely free of charge as well. So that's what we're going to be going through today. As with all of my webinars, they are always recorded and they will be sent to you within 24 to 48 hours. So if there's anything you wish to watch back or recap on, you can do. So that's what you'll get in the next 24 to 48 hours. Today's webinar should probably last between 30 to 45 minutes, okay? And it will consist majorly of like a live demonstration. You will know if you've been in my webinars before, sometimes I have a slightly longer slide and a slightly shorter live demonstration. These ones are all going to be predominantly live demonstrations, okay? Just to keep everyone nice and pumped, nice and entertained for this Wednesday afternoon. First and foremost, hopefully you have been able to hear what I've been saying for the last couple of minutes. I should have probably said, please make sure your speakers are turned up first and foremost. But I've done all the checks. It looks like this sound looks good. So hopefully everyone can hear me nice and clear. Perfect. So let's get started. So we're going to be talking about the cloud appointment book. So the idea behind this is you can view your entire appointment book on a mobile phone, a tablet, or a computer, wherever you happen to be, whether at home or in the salon when it comes to it in the future. But for the time being, I appreciate everyone is at home. So this is a great way for you to be able to reschedule appointments, make future appointments, and just keep track of your essential reports. Thus said, cloud reporting gives you all of your essential business reports, okay? We don't have all of our Fusion reports for the time being, but we've just got our essential business reports, okay? And it's in a really easy and very, very attractive dashboard, okay? And we're going to get to all of this in the live demonstration, okay? And again, you can access this from any internet browser on your mobile phone, computer, laptop, anything like that, okay? Lastly, we've launched something called Targets, okay? And it allows your staff to track their KPIs. KPIs meaning key performance indicators, okay? And again, this can be done from any internet device. And the idea behind this, guys, is to encourage them to smash their weekly goals, okay? So it's something they can track at home. Now, I appreciate they're not going to be doing a great deal of clients, if any clients for the time being. But moving forward, we're always thinking forward at the moment. I know it seems a little bit hard to at the moment, but we're pressing on. We've got to think forward. Okay, so chin up, guys. Come on. Here we go. Perfect. So in this session this afternoon, we will be covering how to set up your cloud appointment book. We're also going to be looking at a way to navigate your way around and understand the functions of the cloud appointment book. It's very, very easy. We're going to look at giving your employees the relevant access. Now, what I mean by that is you may not want your staff members to have access to everything that you have. Okay. Of course, we're going to be looking at and understanding your reports on the move, so your essential business reports. And lastly, we're going to look how we can track your business and or your employee targets as well. Okay, so that should take us to around the 45 minutes to an hour mark, okay? So if you do need anything, especially at this time of uncertainty, please do drop us an email. We're going to be offering lots of education, lots of different seminars, webinars, those kind of things, okay? So please do stay in contact with us, education@shortcuts.co.uk, okay? I would also recommend you go onto our main website, shortcuts.co.uk. In the top left-hand corner, you will see a tab, okay? And this will be talking about COVID-19, of course. And we've got lots of resources, lots of communication links, that kind of thing. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth than that in my next webinar after this, I believe at 3 p.m, where I go through Shortcuts marketing. We're going to talk more on that, a way for you to keep in contact with your clients, let them know exactly what's going on. Okay, last but not least, please all do stay safe out there, guys. I know it's uncertain times, but like I said, we've got to keep pressing forward. Let's all keep positive. When we bounce back, we're going to bounce back well, as we know. So let's keep pushing forward, and hopefully some of these training sessions will give you the tips and the tools to build that confidence. With that being said, thank you ever so much. Let's jump straight into our live demonstration. Okay, so essentially there are two ways to open up the Cloud Appointment Book. Okay, there are two ways to open up the Cloud Appointment Book. The first way is to simply type in the URL, okay, which is pos.shortcutsoftware.com. And I'm just going to highlight that now. Okay, so it's pos.shortcutsoftware.com. And we can see that highlighted at the top of the screen. That is the first way. You can just simply type in the URL on any internet device. The second way, which is slightly easier, is to use your online console. Now, this is the online console just here. Hopefully, everyone is already familiar with this. And the second way to access the Cloud Appointment Book is on the right-hand side here where it says Shortcuts Cloud. If we click onto that, that gives you a bit of a stepping stone. Oh, let's just log myself in. That will give you a stepping stone towards your Cloud Appointment Book. So those are the two ways to access your Cloud Appointment Book. Now, if you opt for the first way, to just simply type in the URL, you may wish to do this on your phone, okay? So if we open up an internet browser on our phone and we type in the URL pos.shortcutsoftware.com, it will ask you for a username and password. Now, for our company managers and directors out there at the moment, your username and your password are the same username and password that you use to log into your online console that we literally just looked at, okay? So it's the same username and password. Everything is the same. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, do you know what? That seems quite time consuming, Chris, if I have to keep typing in pos.shortcutsoftware.com. So what we can essentially do is save it as an app. So we don't need to download it because, of course, it's not an app. It's just a simple website. We can save it as an app. And what that will do is essentially save it to your home screen so you don't have to keep typing in the website. Now, for our Android users out there, all you need to do is click in the top right-hand corner or down the bottom on your home button and click the button where it says Add to Home Screen. And that will essentially save it as an app for you. For our iPhone users, right down the bottom of the screen, you will see I think it's your home button. It's a square with an arrow facing upwards inside of it, okay? Click onto that and exactly the same. It's your Add to Home Screen. Now, if you're an iPhone 8 user, you may find you have to scroll left or right to find the Add to Home Screen button. But either way, whether you're Android or Apple, you're looking for the button Add to Home Screen. And that will essentially save it to your home screen and as an app. So you don't have to keep typing in pos.shortcutsoftware.com. Okay, so that's the first couple of ways we can access the cloud. Okay, so what we're going to run through now before I jump in and show everyone how it works, because I promise you, ladies and gents, it's really easy. You're going to absolutely love it. What we're going to do first is we're going to talk about how to set up our other colleagues and staff members with the Cloud Appointment Book. Okay, now to set someone up, you will require to be a company manager or a director in the console. Essentially, if you are an owner or quite high up in the business, you will already have that level of access. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to set up another staff member with the Cloud Appointment Book. So right at the top of our screen, all we're going to do is we're going to simply click onto the menu button just here. And on the left-hand side of our navigation bar, we're going to click Employees and Rosters. On the right-hand side, simply click Employees. On the left-hand side, you will, of course, see a whole long list of all of your staff members. Okay, so down the left-hand side, here they are. So all we need to do is simply choose whichever staff member you wish to set up. So if we set up, I don't know, who should we choose this afternoon? Let's choose Sam. Okay, so you'll see on the right-hand side, it does pull through all of his personal information. But to set Sam up, or whichever staff member up with the Cloud Appointment Book, simply click down the bottom where it says Roles and Login. However, if you have staff members that are already utilizing a feature we had a long time ago called Anywhere, which allowed your staff members to view a very basic appointment book, they can use the same login details that they had before. It's just simply pos.shortcutsoftware.com again, and their same username and password. If, of course, they can't remember their username and password, what you will see, such as we have with Rachel, Down the bottom here, you will have email credentials, and that will just email across their username and a new password, and of course the login details for the Cloud Appointment Book. But for a brand new user that's never used Cloud and never used the Anywhere feature, such as Sam, right down the bottom, we're going to click Roles and Login, okay, to set someone up with access to the Cloud Appointment Book. In the top right-hand corner, all you need to do is toggle Login Access to Yes, and then you will be presented with a username and a password. Now, a username and an email address, my apologies. If you already have their email address inputted, by default, that will become their username, okay? Some of you may be familiar that your usernames to access the console are your email addresses. It just makes it that little bit easier for you. However, you don't have to. You can give them their own username. If, of course, you haven't already got their email address on file, you would just simply type it in. So in this case, let's say the username will be sam@shortcuts.co.uk. And we do also have to pop his personal email address in. The reason for this is because he will be sent a random password and, of course, the link to the Cloud Appointment Book, which is what we know as pos.shortcutsoftware.com. So we've popped in a username and we've popped in the email address. Underneath, you will see we have 2 default role types, okay? Now, it's not to say you can't create your own role types, but we have 2 default role types to start us off with. Okay, so the employee role will have the default levels of permissions as follows. So the employee role will only have access to their own column, nobody else's. They will only be able to edit it during the working hours of the business. Outside of the working hours of the business, it will be view mode only, okay? And they will also only have access to their own reports and their own targets. That is the default levels of permission within that role. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you how you can change those permissions if you want to. The site manager role, again by default, will give that staff member access to everyone's column. They will also have access to configuration items, which means they can make changes in the background of the Cloud Appointment Book, such as what we're doing now. They can also set staff members up. They can view all essential reports, and they can view everyone's KPIs and everyone's targets. They can also edit and view it outside of the working hours of the business. But again, those are both the default role types, okay? So all you need to do for the time being is just simply choose a role type. In the bottom right-hand corner, if we click the Done button. Username successfully updated at all sites. So Sam has now been set up with the Cloud Appointment Book. And of course, he will now be sent his username, which is his email address, and he will also be sent a random password, okay? I would recommend you change the password. To do so, once you've logged yourself in, choose your profile name from the top right-hand corner. Click onto that and simply click Change Password, and that will enable you to change your password. So there we go. We can see how quickly and easy it is to set one of our staff members up with access to the Cloud Appointment Book. But we've just been speaking about roles and their relevant levels of permissions within that role. So maybe we want to change those levels of permission, and we're going to show you how to do that now. So at the top of the page, all we're going to do is simply click the menu button, just the same as before. On the left-hand side, we're going to click General Settings. To the right of that, we're going to click where it says Roles. On the left-hand side, you will see those 2 default role types we literally just spoke about. And on the right-hand side, you will see if anybody is already set up within that role type. Now, before we chop and change the levels of permission within those roles, what we're going to do is we're going to create our own role type, okay? So, for instance, this may be assistant manager, head front of house, that kind of thing. So maybe something that has more levels of permission than an employee role, but slightly less levels of permission than the site manager role, okay? So we can create our own role type. To do this, right down the bottom of the screen, you will simply click the New button. And at the top where it says Default Role Type, simply type in the name of your role. Okay, so I've said it's head receptionist. Now at this point, you can also upgrade or simply set up a new staff member within this role type as well. So you can see here, you can change their login access from no to yes if they're already maybe set up as an employee or a site manager. So essentially here you're upgrading or degrading them, who knows. So yeah, and you can also create a login for them this way as well. However, I prefer to do it the first way we showed you. Okay. And simply click the done button. So now you'll see you've got 3 role types. So what we're going to look at now are the role types again and how we can change the default levels of permissions within those role types. So if we click onto employee, and remember I said they only have access to their own column by default, and they can only edit it during the working hours of the business. But you may want to change that. So if we click onto employee, and underneath, if we click the red word where it says permissions, and just underneath we can see the permissions that they have currently. You can then choose a permissions category and simply toggle no to yes or yes to no. And that will update and upgrade and chop and change those permissions within a role type. When you're happy, simply click the done button in the bottom right-hand corner. Perfect. And that is how we can upgrade and change the different role types within our cloud appointment book. Okay, so before, again, we jump into how to make appointments, because it's very, very easy, what we're going to move on to now is how we can go through our cloud reporting, okay? So we have 4 essential reports within our cloud reports, okay? What we're going to do first is we're going to have a look at our dashboard. Now, you will see your dashboard directly at the top just here, okay? So if we click onto dashboard, give it a couple of seconds to download. Now, how the dashboard works is it tracks the same days of the week this year compared to the same days of the week last year. So it's a good way to compare your business, okay, your business's performance. To change the date range, you can simply do that at the top here. So we click onto the calendar and just choose a first and a last date. So I'm going to look at the 1st of December 2019 all the way through to the 25th of March 2020. And that will track that date period this year compared to the same date period last year. Okay. If you have more than one salon available, you can also toggle between the two just here. And on the right hand side, you can also toggle between your specific employees. Lastly, you can view it ex-tax or including tax. How it is at the moment is excluding tax. Okay, and that is how we can configure some parameters within our dashboard. So at the top here, you will see we have what we call 10 KPI tiles. KPI, again, standing for key performance indicators, okay? And I'm going to run through exactly what they represent now. So net sales is, of course, sales generated, which are net, inclusive of services and retail alike. Okay. Average per ticket. Ticket is what we refer to as a transaction. So it's the average spend per transaction. Visits are how many visits we have through the door. New customer visits, that's how many clients that came through the door were brand new to your salon. Rebooking, that is a percentage of the clients that rebooked. Now, you may be familiar with a rebooking report in Shortcuts Fusion, and how it works is you have to give your employee a credit when they rebook. However, with the cloud, you don't need to do anything like that. Essentially, if a client remakes a different appointment for a different day, that is what we class as a rebooking. Even if they don't fulfill that appointment and they cancel it, it's still classed as a rebooking. Service sales is, of course, the amount of money generated through services. And retail sales is the money generated through retail sales. Retail items per ticket is the individual specific amount of retail products purchased per transaction. Okay, so we can see there was no retail purchased, unfortunately. Retail conversion, now what that is an upsell from a service. So let's say a client came in and they were due to just have a service, but they also purchased a product as well. So they had an upsell at the point of sale screen. And last but not least, we have just our plain upsells. So this again is if they were just purely coming in for a service, but they also purchased a retail product, as well as if they were, let's say, coming in for something like a root tint, but they then ended up having a full head tint or a full head of highlights. So they had an upsell of a service. So Maria, the data we're looking at now will be the same days of the week for the date range, last year or the year before, whichever it is. So it does day by day, year by year. So essentially you can track. It's like putting the date ranges side by side. So I'm looking at December through to March. It will do December from the year before due to March last year as well. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you look at such a huge date range like I did. People typically do it for the month or for a week. They don't typically do 4 or 5 months at a time, because of course it's a lot of data to take it. Okay, but it just compares the same date ranges before. So on that topic, you may have noticed there are percentages next to each of these. Now, how that works is it's showing you whether from the date range before, the year before, you have increased or decreased. So if you have increased on 5% or more, it will show you a green square plus the percentage. If you have decreased 5% or more, it will show you a red square with the percentage. And if you have decreased from anything from 0 to 5%, it will be an orange square. So think of it as a bit like a little traffic light system. Yes, Craig just asked, can these reports be printed from the cloud if you are at home? Yes, this one can't be. Most people just take a screenshot. The other 4 reports, they can all be exported out, okay? But this particular dashboard, because it's live, it changes all the time. Maybe not, unfortunately, so much right now due to salons being closed. But most people just take screenshots of the dashboard. But all the other reports we're going to go through, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to touch on that in just a few moments. Okay, so along the top, we've got our 10 KPI tiles. And then underneath that, we've got some pie charts. Now, all of the information here is also pretty much exactly the same as the information above, but we've condensed it down into an easy to read pie chart. Okay, so on the left, we have our sales. Now, the blue segment of the pie chart is money generated from services. So we can see that there, 3608. Okay, and if we go to our services just here, 3608. Now, unfortunately, we haven't had any retail sales, but the retail segment will be the pinky purple section just here. The green section, such as other, things like gift cards, gift certificates, anything like that, promotions, that kind of thing. Now, if you were looking at a date range far into the future, or if you maybe had an appointment booked in today that hadn't been checked out, you will have a yellow segment here where it says pre-booked. And that is essentially a bit of a forecast into the future to let you know how much money you should be making. So once we sort of get the all clear that we can start to open our salon doors, hopefully very, very soon, fingers crossed, and we start getting our online bookings in, that kind of thing, we can start to see our pre-booked appointments. So we can start to see how much money we're going to start getting through the tills. Booking, visit, and source is letting us know how clients and employees are making appointments in our salon. Okay, now I'm using a test system, so I have the unknown. However, yours will be Cloud, Live, Fusion, Google, or Anywhere. Anywhere being what I was referring to earlier, the sort of app you would have on your phone. Okay. On the right-hand side, we have our clients' visits by status. These are the kind of clients we're having through our doors. New clients, walk-in clients, returning clients. Walk-in being if you're using Walk-in Manager for our barbershop viewers out there, if you're using the Walk-in Manager, or if you run a client through as hashtag walk-in. Okay, so you can see the kind of clients we're getting through the door. Something great to keep our eye on as we move forward, as I said, when those salon doors start to reopen. Yeah, absolutely. Tracy has just asked, can I access this on another computer other than the salon computer? Yep, you can access this any way you like. Because it's a simple website, pos.shortcutsoftware.com. Open it up as many times as you like on as many different browsers, on as many different devices. It's just purely a website. So go crazy with it. Have it at home, have it on your phone, that kind of thing. So it doesn't have to be restricted to the salon computer, which is why it's fantastic at this point in time. You can have it quite literally anywhere. It's cloud-based, so you can take it home with you, so you can access it from home, which is the beauty of it. Okay, so underneath we have a little table, and this is our employee performance. Now, you may all be familiar with the employee performance report before, but we also have it in our cloud, okay? Now, I appreciate for the time being, where we're not having any sadly any clients through the door, the employee performance might be slightly low. But let's not think about that. Like I said, let's push forward, think to the future. And we're going to be looking at our employee performance moving forward. And this is completely live. So they get extra clients book in, they check clients out. This will completely change. Okay. So on the left-hand side, we have a list of all of our employees. To the right of that, we have net sales. Now, this figure here is the amount of money they've generated. You will see these red or green or little hyphens, little dashes next to it. That is just simply a visual indicator to let you know that they have increased or decreased. The figure next to that isn't by how much they've increased or decreased. Unfortunately, it just isn't, it's impossible to be that sophisticated to work out by how much is increased or decreased, but it's just letting you know that they have, okay? So it's a nice step in the right direction. Net sales is, of course, money generated from services and retail alike. Average per ticket is the average client spend per transaction. Visits are, of course, the amount of visits through the door. And rebooking percentage is exactly the same as what we spoke about earlier, the percentage of rebooked clients. Service sales, again, money generated through services alone. And retail sales is money generated from retail sales alone. And the last column here, which we can expand by just clicking and dragging this out of the way, we have retail items per ticket. That is the amount of retail items, the specific retail items, your shampoos, your conditioners, your nail varnishes, purchased per ticket. Ticket, remember again, is a transaction. So basically how many retail products were purchased per visit. Okay, and that is our employee performance report. Now, underneath, we have something called audit actions, okay? And these show things such as cancellations, no-shows, discounts, essentially anything which would have caused your business to lose money. Now, if you were on my webinars earlier, where I went through how to reschedule like a pro, the reason we do that is because if you cancel an appointment in Shortcuts to reschedule it, it will pull through on your cloud reporting as a cancelled appointment. So it's much better if you were on my COVID essential webinar earlier. I showed you how to reschedule an appointment without cancelling it first, and that will not affect your cancelled appointments in your cloud report stats. Okay. Other than that, it will show you things like discounts, promotions, and so forth. But like I said, anything essentially which has caused your business to lose some money. And underneath, we have something called a campaign ROI. ROI standing for return on investment. And we're going to talk much more about that in my Shortcuts marketing webinar at 3 p.m. today. Okay, so we're going to touch on that later. Okay, so that is our dashboard. Now, what the dashboard is, like I said, it tracks the same days of the week this year compared to the same days of the week last year, or year on year, whichever years you decide to look at. And it essentially shows all of your business reports in one easy to read dashboard. However, we're now going to look at each individual essential business report. And to do this exactly the same as before, we're simply going to click the menu button at the top of the screen. And on the left-hand side, we're going to click onto reports. Now, you will also see there is a dashboard button in here. It is exactly the same as the one we used at the beginning of the session. So the first report we're going to look at is employee productivity. Okay. Now, what the employee productivity report will show you is a bit like a report we have in Fusion. Okay. And it's called the roster analysis report. It essentially shows the utilization of your staff members. And again, like I said, unfortunately, everyone's utilization is going to be a little bit low for the time being. Oh, question? Craig, I'll get back to that at the end. Craig just asked, was that on the dashboard? This report here, employee productivity, is in its own reports, and that's under menu, reports, and then employee productivity. So yeah, the employee productivity report shows your staff members' utilization. Okay, so something to keep an eye on moving forward when we can track how busy they are. Okay, and again, with all of these reports, I know we spoke about it a little bit at the beginning. Someone did ask me. You can export these reports out to print them out if you wish to, and you can do that in the top right-hand corner. So it exports it out as a CSV file, Excel file, that kind of thing. If you wish to send it across to the managers, owners, that kind of thing. On the left-hand side, we, of course, have a list of all of our staff members. Next to that, we have their booked hours. Now, booked hours are the hours they were booked out with clients, essentially their busy period. Next to that, we have the booked amount. That is the amount of money generated from those clients. So how much money they earn from their clients being booked out nice and busy. And the available hours are the hours they were set to work. So essentially their rostered hours, how many hours they could have worked. An estimated amount of available hours, that is if looking at historical figures, if they were fully booked every hour, this is how much money they could make in the hours they work. Okay, so a bit of a forecast. If they were fully booked in all of their working week, that's how much money they could bring in your business. Utilization, that is again a percentage showing how much of their time they utilized with booked clients. So we can see here, Amy unfortunately was set to work 744.62 hours, but she was only booked out for 9 hours, 15 minutes, 9.25 hours, giving her a utilization of a percentage. So she wasn't very busy. Yep, so Laura's just asked, are all of these reports always just comparing to your last week? No, this report, sorry, should have said maybe I wasn't clear. This particular report, the date range at the top here is a live report for that date range. The dashboard is the only thing that compares week by week, year by year. Any other report is a live report from the date range you're looking at now. Okay, so if you just wanted to look at today's report, you would literally click onto the date range and just choose today. All of these reports, sorry if I wasn't clear about that, guys. All of the future reports now we're going to be looking at are totally live. So the date range we're looking at for the time being is exactly what it's showing. There's no comparisons here. Yeah, absolutely. So Craig's just asked, we have to have their hours inputted on Fusion to do this. Yes, you would do. Hopefully everyone's pretty much got the majority of their staff members' rotated hours booked in for things such as reporting and of course your online booking. I know some people just open up the calendar and then close it by scheduling a task. But yes, that won't pull through as accurate on these reports. Okay, so it does require you to have people's staff members rotated in. So that was our utilization percentage there. The percentage of total booked hours. Now what that does is it gives all of your staff members a percentage. So essentially a slice of who had the total amount of booked hours. So we can see Amy had just over 20%, Amelia had 22, Chris had 0, Dan had just under 10% and so forth. So all of these percentages here will add up to 100. So you can compare your staff members to see who had the biggest chunk of booked hours. And to the right of that, exactly the same theoretically, but it's the percentage of total booked amount. So how much money they generated by being booked out. Number of clients is, of course, how many clients they did when they were busy. And then, of course, the percentage of clients. So again, out of each of your staff members, who had the biggest percentage, the biggest chunk of clients. So we can see all of these percentages here add up to 100. And here we can see, last but not least, historical revenue per hour. So historically, how much money they generate per hour. Now, of course, this will change all the time, depending on how busy they are. Okay, and that is our employee productivity report. Yes, very good question, Tracy. This does take off your holiday hours. So as long as you've blocked out via the roster for holiday, it takes all of that into consideration because it appreciates they're not going to be at work for that period. So we can have a look at our other reports. We click onto the menu button. We click onto reports. Now, again, we've already looked at dashboard. So we can now have a look at our trading summary. Now, hopefully everyone's privy to our trading summary. And again, this is a total live report. So if you're looking at today's date range, it will show you what you've taken today. If you look at yesterday, it will show you what you took yesterday. There's no comparisons with these future reports. It's just purely as if you were looking at a normal report for this date range. Okay. And again, you can view it ex tax or including tax. And in the top right-hand corner, you can also export it out to a CSV file and so forth. So what we can see here straight away is we can see our sales. This is our services, this is our retail, our programs, and everything like that. Now, this report is 99% the same as your trading summary in Fusion. The only difference being is some things open up on this trading summary on the left, whereas on our Fusion report, it opens up on the right. Also, you may notice as you scroll down, there is not a list of your staff members and their hours, their takings, and so forth. It doesn't pull through to that. But you can view that, of course, in the performance report and the dashboard as well. But unfortunately, it doesn't pull through to the trading summary. Everything else here is exactly the same as your trading summary in Fusion. So it's got your prepayments, your liabilities. Liabilities is money owed back to the business, typically through programs, memberships, and clubs and those kind of things. Okay, so money owed back to the business, and of course gift certificates as well. Hopefully everyone's seen a massive uptake of Shortcuts gift cards. I spoke about it earlier, but they're absolutely flying at the moment. It's a great way to generate of course, revenue for your business. We've got your ticket averages. Your ticket averages, again, a transaction. So the average spend per transaction, okay? So we've got the service transactions, we've got the retail transactions, how many service transactions there actually were, and of course, the total. And on the right-hand side, we've got your type of customers that came through the door. Female, male, children, unspecified, walk-in, new, returning. So again, the majority of this information pulls through, again, like it did on your dashboard. And that is our trading summary. Hopefully, everyone is fairly familiar with the trading summary. Anyway, it's quite a common report we look at in Fusion. So if we click the back button in the bottom right-hand corner, we can now have a look at our employee performance report. Okay, now again, most of you have probably already looked at the employee performance report in Fusion. And what you can see here, again, you've got the date range. And again, this will show the performance of this date range. There's no comparisons to be made here. Okay. Again, you can toggle between the individual sites, and you can also choose a specific employee to look at from the top right-hand corner. You can also change it to be X tax or including tax. And again, you can export this report out if you need to print it, email it, that kind of thing. Now, the first table we're looking at is purely services, okay? So this won't include anything retail. This is purely services, okay? So on the left-hand side, you've got a list of all of your staff members, and to the right, we've got a list of the amount of money they generated for their service. So we can see Amelia has done a lot better than Amy, and of course, everyone else been a little bit slack, shall we say. Service tickets. Again, tickets is transactions. So this is how many service transactions this staff member had. Service units are the individual specific service. So the cuts, the colors, the tints, the blow dries, the manicures, the pedicures, those kind of things. Those are what we refer to as a unit. Okay. So average service per service ticket, that is roughly the average service spend per transaction. So in layman's terms, roughly how much a client spends per visit to your salon. Average service units per service ticket is on average how many specific services they have per visit. So on average, are they having just a one service per visit, or are they having two, a cut and a color? Or as we can see here for Amelia, the average is 4. So that could be tints, cuts, colors, blow dries, manicures, pedicures, everything, okay? Then we can see how many rebookings that staff member has had. We can see the rebooking percentage. So again, a percentage of how many clients have rebooked. And then we can see an upsell. Now this is just purely service upsells. So again, if the client walked in for a blow dry, but they then had a wash, cut and blow dry, that's what we refer to as an upsell. And of course, the upsell quantity, so a numerical amount of how many upsells there were. Now remember, this top table is just purely services. And underneath, we can do exactly the same for retail. Now, unfortunately, my staff members here haven't been too hot on the old retail sales, so you'll see everything is set to 0, but all the tables are exactly the same. All the columns are exactly the same for this table. And then underneath, you will also see we have our total. Now, this will, of course, add your services and your retail together for your total revenue column just here. It will then show the average spend. Sundry is like a one-off payment. We've then got gift cards. Gift cards are if you purchase gift cards directly through Shortcuts. Gift certificate is if you create your own gift certificate, so you don't purchase them through Shortcuts. Series are sort of like series of bookings, so like 6 blow dries for £300, that kind of thing. Tickets again, of course, are our transactions. Discount, that's how much money was given away due to discounts. And discount / promotional quantity is how many discounts were given away or how many promotions have been used. And last but not least, we have your tips. That's how many tips were ran through the system. And of course, the tips quantity, so how many tips were actually given away. Okay, underneath there is also a table for hours, very similar to the productivity report we literally just looked at. So we can see we've done a lot of the heavy lifting here for you, and we've put some added shortcuts in there for you as well. But again, this report is exactly the same as the performance report we literally just looked at. And last but not least, we have your customer visits, okay? So these are the types of customers we're getting through our salon and beauty clinic doors. Okay, so we have the total amount of visits on the left-hand side, whether that was a walk-in client, the percentage of those clients that were walk-ins, new clients, the percentage of clients that were new clients, returning clients, and of course, the percentage of those clients that were returning. So we can see here, I had 2 visits and they were both returning clients, thus giving me 100%. And then we can see whether they were male, the male percentage, female, female percentage, child, and unspecified. Okay, so again, you can see the relevant percentages there. 1 female, thus giving us a 50%, and 1 unspecified, again, giving us a 50%. And we can see that for all of our staff members. And that is our cloud reporting. Now, before I show you again how we're going to make appointments, because it's very, very easy, the last thing I'm going to show you is how to set up targets. Now, you can set up targets for the business as a whole, and you can also set them up for each individual staff members, or you can do both. It's entirely up to you, okay? So to set up a target, all we need to do is simply click the menu button at the top of the screen. On the left-hand side, we're going to click Employees and Rosters, which is where we started our webinar off. On the right-hand side, we're going to click Targets Setup. Like I said, you can set the targets up for the business and you can set them up for each individual staff member, or you can set them up for both. Now, remember, by default, if you set a staff member up of the role type for employee, by default, they will only be able to see their own target. They won't be able to see anyone else's or the business. Okay. And again, you can change that level of permission at the beginning under role types, which is what we went through towards the beginning of this webinar. So to set up our targets, you don't have to fill out all of these parameters here if you don't wish to. You can just simply do net sales, service sales, and so forth. Now, for the time being, they're only going to be per week, but we are working on changing it because I appreciate some of you may have fortnightly, monthly, and so forth. You can also change whether this target is going to be inclusive of tax or not inclusive, or excluding tax, I should say. So once we've set the target up, so I'm going to say my net sales per week is £3,500. In the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to simply click the Done button. That has now set that target up. So lastly, we're going to look at a way we can track this target, and this is done through reporting, just same as before. Give it a couple of seconds and just wait for our target to load. So on the left-hand side, you can see our net sales. So far, I've only generated £5. Okay, so essentially we are 100% below our target of £3,500. On the left-hand side of our graph, we have some monetary amounts, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 4,000. Down the bottom, we have days of the week. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and so forth. Then we have some little color keys. So the solid blue line, which unfortunately at the moment is right down the bottom, is the actual amount of money we have generated. So not very much for the time being. The dashed gray line is your weekly target, and it shows you what you need to make each day to smash your weekly target. So it divides it up for you and lets you know what you need to make each day to smash your target. So we can see that there. If I carry on at this rate of only generating £5 so far, By Thursday, I'm £2,328 below my target. But it is encouraging. It does say keep going. Okay. And then lastly, you've got a dashed blue line. Okay. Now, this is any pre-booked appointments you have booked in. So this is a bit of a forecast to let you know if those appointments stay booked in, it will then let you know how much money you then need to make on top of that to smash your weekly target. Okay. And that is a target. So you can see it's very, very easy to set up. Just while everyone looks at that, I'm just going to answer another question. Yes, you can change a target for each individual. So at the beginning, when we were setting the targets up, on the left-hand side, you should have a list of all of your staff members, and you can just change them individually. So I just set mine up just for the business, but on the left-hand side, you can change them for each individual staff member applicable. Perfect. And that is our targets. So the last thing, and of course, what you may consider one of the most important things, is how we can make appointments in the Cloud Appointment Book. Now, I appreciate while we are at home, and I obviously do just all to stay at home to keep us nice and safe, we can start to get appointments booked in for the future. And that is where the Cloud Appointment Book comes into its own. Okay. So I'm going to give you an overview of how the Cloud Appointment Book system works. So in the top left-hand corner, you will see we have a calendar. We can click onto the calendar, and that will change and move us to any specific day of the week. Along the top, you will see we have a list of all of our staff members, okay? And you can see it pulls through their photographs if you have set that up in Fusion. Now, one thing to remember, ladies and gents, with the Cloud Appointment Book, it does take into consideration any capabilities and any resource rooms that you have set up, okay? So you don't need to worry about booking the incorrect appointment with the incorrect staff member. What are the stars and percentages by the names? Okay, so essentially you won't really have to worry about the stars and the percentages. I'm on a test system. I believe for pretty much everyone's Cloud Appointment Book, there won't be a percentage, but what it is how booked up they are. But I believe if you don't have that on yours, please do not worry. Like I said, I'm just working on a test system here, and I think it's just still being switched on for quite some time ago. And the stars are if they are set to work that day. So we can see Preeti and Jay aren't set to work, but Kimmy and Gary are. So that's what the star means. But please don't worry if yours don't have that. I think we got rid of it because it wasn't working with our Cloud Appointment Book. But no need to worry if it's not there. But yeah, to answer your question, Craig, that's what that means in case you do see yours. No worries. Okay, so in the top left-hand corner there, sorry to digress, everyone. In the top left-hand corner there, we have our calendar, and we can switch between certain days of the week, that kind of thing. Okay. Down the left-hand side, you will see we have our appointment intervals, 9, 9:15, and so forth. Now, some of you may have already noticed on each of our staff members column, we have an hour marker. This is just a really good and accurate way to correctly book the appointment at the correct and accurate time. Down the bottom of the screen, you will see we have the same 5 buttons that we have in Fusion. If we click on the Today button, it will take us directly back to today. If we click on the Forward button, that will take us a day forward. Now, something we also have in the Cloud Appointment Book is this red line which runs through the day. And this lets us know exactly where we're up to in the day, so we can keep track of our timing. Something we don't currently have in Fusion, okay? So it's just on our Cloud Appointment Book, a great way to be able to accurately book appointments at home. Okay, so what we can do is you may be familiar with how to filter your appointments, okay, via Fusion. And we can do something very similar in the Cloud Appointment Book. So as I discussed a couple of minutes ago, I said that Preeti and Jay were not set to work today. So we can maybe essentially remove them from our Cloud Appointment Book. In the top left-hand corner, underneath the Shortcuts logo, you will see a triangle upside down. If we click onto this, the most common way to filter the appointment book is by rostered on, okay? And we can just toggle our filters there. You can, of course, toggle by gender, their alias. Alias is your staff member's first name. You can also choose a specific employee, and if anyone is awaiting review. Now, awaiting review essentially is an appointment that has been booked online, okay? So a handy tip for you all there. To view this filter, simply click Apply in the bottom right-hand corner. And you will now see it's only showing me Gary and Kimmy. So Jay and Preeti have now been removed from the system. To bring them back, so to unfilter the appointment book, simply remove the tick in the top left-hand corner. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make an appointment. And if you're doing this from a laptop or a phone or anything like that, you simply either tap onto the appointment time cell or click onto it with your mouse, whichever platform you're using to access the cloud appointment book. So I'm going to click onto Gary's column and I'm going to make an appointment at 1:15 today. So I'm going to tap onto the 1:15 cell. On the right-hand side, we can search for customers. These are customers that are already in your database. Underneath, you can see we've got recent customers, checked out customers, and any remaining customers left to book and check out today. Down the bottom, you can click the new button and add a brand new client into your database. So if people are messaging you via Facebook and they're a brand new client, you can add a brand new client in to the cloud appointment book. You can also add yourself a task in. That's like scheduling a task in Fusion. So meetings, rep meetings, do not moves, those kind of things. Okay. So I'm going to search for my client here. We've got Amy. And you'll see it now brings up all of the personal information of my client, Amy. So we can see the email address, phone number, and so forth. Here we can add a temporary note in, just the same as we can on Fusion. Underneath, it will show you any future appointments, again, to ensure they're not currently booked in for anything, so we don't double book them. And of course, it will show their last 3 visits to ensure we accurately book the correct appointment. Underneath in the gray shaded area, you will see if this client has any alerts. You can, of course, update or add a brand new alert at this stage as well. To finish making the booking, simply click the next button in the bottom right-hand corner. This is where we're going to choose the service, exactly the same in Fusion. At the top, you can search for a service category. You can search for a service. You can see previous services. Again, a great way to accurately see what they had before. Or of course, you can just choose the relevant service and service category. You can tick this box to request the appointment if applicable. But when you're happy, simply click the Done button. And you'll now see the appointment has been made successfully. And again, you can now see it's a green appointment, letting me know that this is a normal appointment. Again, all of these colors pull through from Fusion. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware that with your Fusion system, you can drag the appointment around the appointment book, and you can also make it longer and shorter. You can do exactly the same on the cloud appointment book. Now, a couple of handy tips if you're accessing this on a phone. All you need to do is place your finger on the appointment ever so slightly and then swipe down. If you wish to move the appointment around, again, you place your finger in the top left-hand corner of the appointment and then swipe around, okay? So I'm going to show you and demonstrate that now. So I want to make this appointment longer and shorter. I'm going to place my finger and then just swipe. If you're using a mouse, of course, you can click and then just drag, and you make the appointment longer and shorter. If we wish to move this appointment around in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to place my finger or click and then just simply drag around the appointment book. Okay, and that is how we can edit and update this appointment. Now, you may be thinking, if you're accessing this on a tablet or a phone, we don't have a mouse plugged in. So essentially, there's no right-click command, you know, when we right-click and arrive and add notes and those kind of things. But we can still do the majority of the same functions. But what we're going to do is we're going to tap onto the appointment. In the bottom right-hand corner where we've got 3 dots, we're going to click onto the 3 dots, and this will replicate a right-click command. So we can now arrive the appointment, and it turns blue. Again, I'm going to do another right-click command, and I'm going to reschedule the appointment. And rescheduling the appointment is very, very easy. So I'm going to tap onto the appointment, click the 3 dots, and I'm going to click the reschedule button to reschedule this appointment. It will then open up a calendar on the left-hand side. I'm going to choose the date I wish to reschedule. And it will then tell me to click on a time slot to reschedule. From the 1st of April at 12 p.m. to the 2nd of April at 12 p.m. and we click the reschedule button. And we can now see the appointment has been rescheduled. If I wish to reschedule it back to today, I can do exactly the same thing. Again, I'm going to replicate a right-click command by tapping onto it. Click the 3 dots. Click reschedule. And then click on a time slot to reschedule and just confirm it there. Now, you can also access your color notes and visit notes through the Cloud Appointment Book. So when we're back in the salon, this doesn't just have to be used for now as a way to sort of access your appointment book. You can utilize it in the salon, okay? So if you wish to access your color notes and your visit notes, tap onto it again, click the three dots to replicate the right-click command, and then we're going to click where it says Customer History. And this will show you all of their previous history and any visit notes. You can, of course, edit these as well. You can also grab visit notes via the customer screen at the top of the navigation bar. If you wish to, again, when you're in the salon, if you wish to add a more one-to-one personal service, you can use the Cloud Appointment Book to add your client to the point of sale screen so that when they go to the front of house, they can simply check out. This is a great way to make it a more one-to-one service in the beauty room or at the styling station. To do this, you simply click onto it again and click onto the checkout button just here. This will add the client to the point of sale screen, okay? Now, you can't essentially check the client out completely so that it can pop the till, but it's a great way to upsell, change the service, add products in, that kind of thing. Then when they're happy to be checked out at the main Fusion system, you can then check the client out. So again, like I said, it's a great way to add a more personalized one-to-one service. If they want to discuss any products or if they're in a bit of a hurry, you can add them to the point of sale screen ready for when the client can check out at the main reception desk. So last but not least, what we're going to do is simply cancel this appointment. So again, I'm going to tap onto it or click onto it. Click the three dots to replicate the right-click command, and I'm going to click where it says cancel. You then got the same three options you can choose to cancel the appointment. And then click delete. And that has now deleted that appointment out. So there we can see how quick and easy it is to reschedule appointments, make appointments, add in our visit notes, and also cancel them. And that there, ladies and gents, I think just under the hour is our Cloud Appointment Book. Now, I welcome any questions. I saw just one did come through, so I jumped straight on that one. But thank you ever so much for listening. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those across to me now. Yes, Tracy, yes, absolutely. You can add a task in as well. So it's exactly the same as when we were making an appointment. And then it's just right down the bottom. So I was saying earlier, the tasks are usually things like do not moves, rep meetings, those kind of things. You can add those in, and all of those pull through from your Shortcuts Fusion system as well. Yes, Maria, the cloud is free. It's completely free of charge. It's just a website. So everyone should be, for the time being, we should have ticked everyone in the background, let's say in Shortcuts, we should have ticked everyone for it. You would just need to be on version, I think it's 28 or something like that. But basically within the last couple of years, you should be on one of our most up-to-date Shortcuts. If you're not and you're finding you not having access to the Cloud Appointment Book, please do give us a call and we will just double check you're on one of the latest versions, okay? And then we can get everyone set up with a Cloud Appointment Book. But yeah, it's absolutely free of charge. You can have it on any device you like. No, clients cannot access this. This is purely for you guys only. If you're looking for another way for clients to make appointments, I would suggest, of course, online bookings, BookMe, My Local Salon. You can also use Google Reserve. And if you're an Elevate or Elevate Plus package users, we have something called the Mobile Guest App, which is a fantastic and exciting way for clients to make appointments. Not to go into too much detail in that, but if you do want to go on to the Elevate or Elevate Plus package, it will give you the My Salon app. Clients can make appointments and they can also manage their personal information as well. So it's a great way for them to keep track of their appointments and their personal information. Okay, and with everything going on, I would definitely recommend, if you're able to discuss upgrading to the Elevate package, because of course it will open up things like custom client cards, patch test forms, medical forms, and of course you will get essentially your own app, the My Salon app it's called. Okay, so it's a great feature to have. But no, the Cloud Appointment Book, which is what we're looking at now, is purely for you guys to access. Please don't give clients access to this. This is purely for you guys. Yes, a very good question, Maria. Yes, it does track who made the appointment. Okay, because it is cloud based. That is why I recommend everyone has their own logins, which is what we went through at the beginning. So it will track what everybody does. And I think I deleted the appointment. Yes, I did. However, if you like when I was doing earlier with the right click commands, arriving, rebookings, notes, alerts, those kind of things, the last one right down the bottom is appointment log. That will show you who made the appointment and who messed around with it, that kind of thing. So it's appointment log when I do the right click command when I talk about that. Perfect. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, hopefully everyone's just as excited about it as I am, and the rest of the obviously our staff and most of our clients seem to be as well. It's fantastic, especially in this time as well. There's never been a better time to have the cloud appointment book when unfortunately we can't get into our actual salons. Laura's just asked, I don't seem to have this version. I've logged in, put the dashboard part, etc. isn't an option. So Laura, can you get into the cloud appointment book, or you just literally can't access anything? Okay, so Laura's just asked there, and the reason I say this is because it may be relevant to some of our other viewers and listeners out there. If you can access the dashboard, sorry, if you can access the cloud appointment book, but not the dashboard or marketing or menu, it may be that you're already set up in the background, but you're not set up as what we would call a company manager. Okay, so it may be that one of your directors has maybe been on the webinar before and set you up with a slightly lower level of access. Now you may be listening to that thinking, well, I am a manager or I am an owner. That's not a problem. We can switch you over to that. We would just need to just have a very, 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 very brief conversation with you just to check. Because of course, unfortunately, I don't know exactly who's listening. And of course, I don't want to give the relevant access to the wrong person. Okay. So just a quick phone call to customer care, that kind of thing, just explain the situation. And we can get that switched on. Yeah, so no problem, Laura. If you want to, just at the end of the session, just give a quick call to our customer care. Or drop us an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk. We can just take your salon name, just have a very brief chat with you, just to obviously just double check you're the manager, the owner, and then just double check the relevant access. But yeah, we can easily get people onto that, but we do have to sort of err on the side of caution just for the time being, because as you all saw, there is some sensitive information to be got hold of. I think I missed a question as well. Oh, you're in the Middle East. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, cloud based. Exactly. Yeah. Very, very handy. Not quite, Maria. I see where you're going with that. You will, of course, need a server for this to work. But I would still recommend having your other terminals as well, because as you can see, this isn't your full version of Shortcuts. This is just your cloud version of Shortcuts. So you don't have access to put in your rosters in, your schedules, your stock, or anything like that. This is purely just a fully functioning appointment book. Okay, so just think of it as that. It's not to be confused with replacing receptionists or anything quite like that. I would still definitely recommend you keep your main, obviously your server and your other terminals as well. But you can use this on tablets and that kind of thing. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I know what you mean. We have had the odd time of thinking, oh, is it going to replace a receptionist? No, it's just an extension of your appointment book. But yeah, it doesn't have stock or all your reports or anything that you can't obviously access your rotors and things like that. So yeah, Fusion is still very much ahead of its time and very much ahead of the game with things like that. I think, did I grab? I think I got everyone's. Yeah, so I was just checking. I think I got everyone's messages. Perfect. Okay, so no problem if there's no more questions. If you do, like I said, please feel free to ask those. I think we're starting another webinar. I believe it's at 3 o'clock, which is going to be Shortcuts Marketing, which is a fantastic way to obviously further promote your salon. And of course, if there's any clients out there that aren't aware that you may be closed or not closed, that kind of thing, it's a great way to do that. Also as well, I think I spoke about it at the beginning, but please do go onto our website, shortcuts.co.uk. We're constantly updating our communication hub and our resource hub, just letting you know everything that we can do. We're in contact with lots of salons. We're going to have lots of great advice coming to you as well. I believe today we have a very, very knowledgeable gentleman called Steve Hilliard, who does coaching for salons, and he's part of, he's a Shortcuts customer, and he is taking over our Instagram today to help you out. So do stay tuned for our Instagram, and also do stay tuned on our shortcuts.co.uk website. You're very welcome, Maria. Perfect. Okay, I think that's it for this afternoon. Just one last thing just before I go. If you were on my webinars earlier, you may have heard me talk about at the end, you will be just sort of presented with a feedback survey. If you've already opened it up and if you've already done it, that's brilliant. That's fantastic. If not, if I could just ask you just to take literally 1 or 2 minutes of your time. It's just a rating out of 5. 5 being the best, 0 being obviously not great. Hopefully we've all found it a 5 today and we found it informative, and you've liked my content that I've had to share with you all today. I'd be grateful if you could just take the time to fill that out. If you don't have time now, no problem. You will also be emailed it within the next 24 hours. It's just to ensure we are giving you the best possible service. And like I said, right now, with the free time we all seem to have, unfortunately, there has never been a better time to sort of swat up and sort of touch up our skills. Okay, so please stay tuned. I'm going to be doing lots of new webinars and lots of unique webinars. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, I have a brand new webinar. It's our long lost shortcut secrets. I don't want to give too much away, but that's 9:30 tomorrow morning. It's a great way to inject revenue into your business right now with the salon doors closed. I think that's it. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I shall probably speak to hopefully majority of you again in about 20 minutes. But if not, stay positive. Chin up, guys. We're going to get through this. And thank you ever so much. And we'll see you all again soon. Stay safe. Once again, my name was Chris. Thank you ever so much. Bye-bye.